Howdy! Today we're gonna talk about the most uncomfortable game OP has ever played. Spoilers for DTLO 9-03 Hungry Shadows. Jesus, I have not gotten better at this. Um, yeah, no. My first channel, pretty good, pretty good. More uploads. This channel, kind of let it die. Trying to bring it back. Here we go. Some background to the situation. My regular playground disbanded due to some players becoming too busy to commit and another somewhat falling out of favor with TTPRGs. In the meantime, I've looked elsewhere to try and get my D&D fix. Luck as we have it, my flags, my FLGs, my apologies, was having a big reinstitution of Adventurers Leagues and was also running short pre-game things to help out first-timers with character creation and leveling. I'm good friends with a lot of the staff at the shop, and they were more than happy to have me assist with showing the newbies the ropes, and it turned out to be a real hit. We now have a ton of new local players, a lot whom have started to form their own bi-weekly groups outside of AL. That's fantastic. When it comes to assigning players to tables, I was added to the last table that needed a player. At the very last minute, here's the rundown of the table. Myself, moi, playing a randomly rolled halfling ranger, DM, who I haven't played with before, but I have on good terms, good word, that he knows what he's doing, though he had told us all that he isn't particularly a fan of running pre-written games. Fighter, a first-time player who was pretty enthusiastic to play. She didn't have time to make a character, and so she used a pre-made human fighter. Ranger, Fighter's IRL partner, who we were told does have experience but didn't seem particularly engaged and barely spoke to any of us during the whole game, outside of announcing his combat actions and dice rolls. He was also playing a pre-made character, an elf ranger. I'd asked if the table wanted me to play a different class, but they felt two rangers was cool. Hey, that's lit. Bard, DM's friend and the main problem player of the group. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Player comes to the table with Bard, announces they were inspired by Skyrim Sharholtz. I have never heard of this person. And then proceeds to play the character as someone trying to sleep with anything that move. Oh, that's most likely a YouTuber. And has a ton of announce that Sherlin had. And had none of the announce Sherlin had. The character was also completely naked Dragonborn woman, complete with a character mini that I had difficulty looking at and desired to write a book on mammalian mating practices. Bro, what? And had a desire to write a book on mammalian mating practices? Why? Okay, sorry. I was already feeling a little uncomfortable, especially when the DM had said he apologized for Bard's future actions and should have tapped out there. But by the time we were all introduced, the FLG staff had announced the beginning of the event, and the game kicked off immediately. Okay, well, I mean, there was no Session 0. The OP was put there without any warning, and it seems like nobody knows what they're getting into. Yeah, this seems like a totally fun game that's gonna have no issues. The game begins, and we've been hired to investigate a missing persons incident in Baldur's Gate with potential links to an underground cult. Bard is immediately trying to hit on both NPCs we were introduced to, though he's keeping things fairly PG for now, and it mostly seems silly and lighthearted. Despite the character's appearance, Fighter and I are taking the lead in progressing the plot, and we're soon led to a ransacked house. Unfortunately for everyone but the Fighter, dumped intelligent and so many poor investigation rolls at the scene of the murder followed, but the DM was kind enough to allow a few gimmies for the plot to progress. As we explored the house, Bard was continuing to hit on the NPCs that guided us to the house, slowly getting more and more suggestive, but did take a break to make a lighthearted bit of their character not knowing what a sandwich is, with Fighter being their pain straight in the situation, which while I felt a bit iffy, loosened the tension a little. I was attempting to look in this city for answers and luckily rolled high and picked up a hidden book. Unfortunately, it was Infernal, which none of us spoke. Yes, Ranger what he was doing, and he dismissively said, "Oh, I investigate the stairs." I said, "I guess." Just looking bored. Lord and behold, Ranger was looking in the right place, and after some assistance from the now thoroughly creeped out NPC, we made our way down the hidden sets of stairs down to the cult's lair. We got hit with a hidden trap, which hit hard for a group of level 1 characters, but no issue. Good thing we had Bard to heal us, or not. We had to take a short rest and roll our hit dice to heal up. Outside of me taking good berry, we didn't have any healing spells. Never mind, these things just happened in AL, I thought. We make it to the main cult section. We somehow insta-kill an NPC through a door, and this is where Bard gets weird and starts trying to do stuff with locations of now a fresh corpse. No thank you, I would kick you out instantly if you tried screwing a corpse, but that's just me. Which the other player laughed at. I tried to ignore it and press on, and with the help from Fighter, who's now really enjoying the RPing as the party led, kept moving the plot forward. The DM is starting to get tired of the material and just painfully sighs whenever Bard says anything about the corpse, or whenever he tries to hit on my character, which I wasn't particularly comfortable with. Good for you, should have said it out loud, but I'm sure you did. And so pushes us into a combat encounter, but not before taking a break. You know it's bad when the DM has to take a break. You also know it's bad when the DM already knew he was going to try this and didn't tell the player not to. Instead, just warned people of his actions. I used this time to mention to the staff how I'm getting increasingly uncomfortable with the game, and while they couldn't really do much once we're this far into the game, they'll at least make a note for the future. When we return, combat initiates, and honestly, things really pick up. Oh, when we return, combat initiate. Now, no, I apologize. My reading has been terrible, man. I've lost my ability to read. Through the rest of the table is essentially having to play Ranger's character for him, as he just stares at us with a blank expression. When we get to his turn, he was at least glad he got the last hit on 2 of the enemies. Man, is he good? Like, it's not seem like he's having fun. However, things immediately spiked back up when the last enemy surrenders and combat ends. Bard immediately tries to grab him and attempts to take him to another room to straight up sexually assault him, implying he thinks it's especially funny because his character is female. Fighter and Ranger find this hilarious, while his DM just looks tired at him. I, on the other hand, am now extremely uncomfortable, but finding it really hard to say anything, seeing as the other 3 players seem to love it at this point. I just want the game to end as quick as possible. I've been victim of sexual assault in the past, and this felt a little too close to reality for me. Ooh. We speed through returning this NPC to the police and finish the adventure with enough time for me to get to the bathroom and splash cold water into my face. I'm surprised I wasn't sick. I've never wanted to leave a table so fast in my life. Definitely should report that one player to the police to get investigated. Yeah, definitely. So in the following weeks, staff had made sure I'm put in different players, and it's been a million times better since I've been able to play with a bunch of great people, old and new. Definitely am glad I've stuck with AL despite that first experience. My old DM has even invited me to another campaign they run with some familiar faces playing, and that first session I played was a blast. I can't wait for the next time. So thankfully, this doesn't quite have a bad ending, and I've learned to try and be a lot more vocal in the future when it comes to not being okay. Certain stuff in the future. TLDR, FLGs restarted their AL support and got put on a table with a tired DM, an almost entirely uninterested player, another player who just thought he'd pull the rape card because it's funny when a girl does it to a guy. See, I myself don't like that card either in D&D because I think it really is unnecessary 90% of the time. Sometimes, if the DM's really good, he can make it a plot line or like impactful to other characters. But again, that is only experienced DMs, and I think I've only had it successfully done twice, and then every other time it's been terrible. And I say quote unquote successfully because even I myself still think it's it was too far, but the player that got affected by it said it was okay and seemed pretty chill with it, even though I myself was weirded out. But hey, that's me. That's me.